Hello everyone and welcome back. Again, my name is Julie and I am the co-owner of Fandia Fabrics. Thank you so much for joining us. Today is day 2 of our week-long sew-along and we will be finishing up the Pocket Pal by Lynn's Handmade that we started yesterday. Okay, so to get started, we're going to need your exterior piece and your ribbon or fabric if you did that instead, and your double-sided tape. So just a quick note about the double-sided tape. So I use this kind, and Lindsay in her pattern uses a kind that has a backing to it. So she places all of the double-sided tape where it goes on here all at once. If you're using this kind that doesn't have a backing that you peel off, you want to be careful and only do one piece at a time as you're going to use it, okay? Otherwise it'll get all over your machine and kind of gunked up from back and forth of folding and at the machine, okay? So first, the first piece we're gonna lay is right under this bottom card slot, okay? Just this one. So you can see I did it be like, don't go too far over. You want to keep it between the holes if at all possible, okay? So then we're going to take our ribbon and place it on that tape. Okay, so kind of use the holes as a guide. Again, if you're not using ribbon, still kind of same scenario here, okay? So try and make sure it's straight, and yes, the length of your ribbon is going up to the top, okay? So that's what it'll look like, your first one. So now we're gonna flip it over, and at our sewing machine, and I'll have to move the camera, at our sewing machine, we're going to top stitch right here on the first slot. Okay, under the first slot, top stitch. Again, I like to use like a 4 or 3.5 is good for top stitching. Some people like it 4.5, totally personal preference. But top stitch, and you want to get close to the line, but not over it, okay? You also, when sewing, want to make sure your ribbon stays this side of it and don't catch it. So you only want to be going through the one layer of vinyl and the one layer of ribbon, okay? So let's go ahead and go over to the machine. Okay, so again, I don't have the best angle here at the sewing machine, but doing my best here. And next time I'll choose super contrasting colors even if they don't match. So what I'm doing here is you want to start almost back at the hole with your needle and sew all the way and stop before you get to the hole. So don't sew through either hole on either end. You just want to stop. Make sure your stitch length is changed to whatever you want to use for top stitching. You also want to make sure you're leaving ends on, long ends. Don't trim them either at the beginning or the end, because we're going to pull the thread back, and I'll show you that here. So I have this edge of my presser foot matched right along, and it's like perfectly cut, right along there, if you can see. Not really. Trying to see what you guys are seeing. So it's pressed right against the edge of where the cut is, the slot, okay? So I'm just gonna, you can go slow or fast, whatever, up to you. And just stitch. Again, make sure the rest of your ribbon is out of the way. So all my ribbon's over off to the side here, okay? Okay, when you get to the end, again, remember to leave it long because you're gonna pull it back. Oh, there you go. So you can see, zoom out. So you can see I have threads at both ends. Oops. at both ends here, okay? And it's just top stitched, you know, right below the card slot. Okay, so now that I have my needle, you're going to thread the needle in. I'm trying to show you this. Right there. So, and then you're going to push it back through one of the holes already made, okay? And bring it to the back. And then do the same with the other one. Oh, it took forever. Okay. So, and then the same with the other one. And then you'll tie it off in the back, okay? And Lindsay talks about, you know, putting a little bit of Fray Check or super glue on there. I don't, I've never done that, but that's totally, again, personal preference, okay? So if you feel like you need to, go ahead. Do not let me stop you. But okay, so but I just tie mine twice and then snip them. I don't snip it super close to the knot. Okay, so that's what it's gonna look like. And it's snipped off. And then again, if you want to put super glue, go ahead. Next, at the bottom, here. Right, so I use, you're going to put a strip of the double-sided sticky tape here, and that's 1/2 inch above the bottom, okay? And then you're going to fold and kind of finger press the ribbon as you fold it back, and try and keep the ribbon straight when you fold it down, okay? So it's sewn, and that stitch is gonna help you with the finger pressing and keep it kind of bent down, and it's attached here with double-sided tape, okay? And then double-sided tape again, mark under the other card slot, okay? And we're gonna fold it back up, and just make sure you fold towards the end, so don't come above that end of shape, and make sure you're trying to keep it straight as you press it, and press it into that double-sided tape, okay? And again, you're gonna flip it over and sew and just top stitch under that second slot, making sure again the ribbon excess is off to the side and not caught in the machine. Okay, there we go. So again, make sure your threads are long here on the side, matching the foot against the line there. Also depends on which presser foot you're using, but start back at the hole. And stop just before you get to the other hole, okay? Leave the tails long. Then we're gonna grab our needle and pull the threads back. So you're gonna do this for all 3 slots the same, okay? So go ahead and get that finished up. Now, when you come to zoom out again. So again, so like here you did, here at the bottom you did 1/2 inch above. You're gonna mark 1/2 inch from the edge of this ribbon, okay? And that's where you're gonna put the next strip of tape, okay? Well, I did not mark it all. Okay, so 1/2 inch above. Oops. Okay, and again, finger press at top and fold down, trying to keep it as straight as possible, okay? And then again, finger press back the other way. Again, make sure you got 1/2 inch space when you finger press, okay? Just double check it. Okay. Okay. And then last slot, under, and fold this up and try and keep it straight. Okay. Okay. And then again, flip over, tail of the ribbons off to the side, and top stitch the last one. Sorry, kids were having a meltdown. Okay, so again, lining up to the edge here, and top stitch. Okay, that time it was my husband interrupting. I apologize. Okay, so last time that we gotta pull the threads through. Okay, so again, couple more strips of double-sided tape because this is the last card slot you'll be creating. Okay, so again, 1/2 inch above the last slot we just finished. Finger press where you stitched, fold down, keep it lined up, and then we're going to press it up. And again, double check that you have 1/2 inch down here, because if not, it's going to mess with the card slot depth. Okay, so and then finger press that again. Okay, last strip of double-sided tape here. Okay, so it's 1/2 inch below, and I had already marked it. And so put some tape there, line it up. Okay, and as you can see, mine comes over. I always cut mine longer, so go ahead and if yours comes over, trim it down so it's below the edge here. Okay, okay, so now it sits below the edge, and you can tell what I was saying earlier about it being poofy, so we definitely want to make sure we're not doing waterproof canvas in there. So now what we're gonna do is I do it this way, and you can always do this part before you attach the ribbon. I always pull up the card slot, although this time it's thicker than normal, and put the snap in this side of the other side of the snap. Okay, so we're gonna go over there and I'm gonna put that in. Okay, so I've already loaded the correct part of the dies into the machine for the last part. For this one, this time the back side is on the bottom, so you want to make sure that your project, when you go to put it in, is face up. Okay, so correct side up. And you can, I'm just bump the camera, you can do this before you top stitch. I don't, because then sometimes it can catch in the machine, and if you're not paying attention, if it catches while you're sewing, then I'll make your top stitch go kind of wonky. So I do it at this part. I just, lift up the double-sided tape, and after you can always put more. But so go ahead and slot it in, okay, and press down. Okay, so then it's attached. Okay, you can kind of tug on it if you want, but then we're gonna make sure we kind of flatten these guys back down, make sure they're straight, and just finger press again. Okay, okay, so now we'll come to grab your lining piece and your zipper. Okay, so this is where we're going to put the zipper in. Okay, so now we come to where we're going to attach the lining in. Okay, so here you kind of, and you're going to make sure the zipper's in here too, but first I just want to show you. So when you place it, you want to be careful about placing it even, so it should match up. The slots here in the slot should match up, but then it's going to be about 1/8 of an inch short on all sides, and you really want to make sure you kind of push that fabric out over all your folded ribbon there, or your card slots. Okay, and when I apply the glue, because I use a glue stick, I apply it to this part. But before that, so take your zipper. You want to make sure that the zipper pulls down. So line it up here. Hard to do it in the air. So line it up in there, okay? And some people use double-sided tape. I do not. Again, personal preference. I'm going to put glue on this and attach it. Okay. The other thing about the glue stick is it's forgivable. What I mean by that is if you need to adjust it, you can adjust it. Okay. So glue. Okay. Okay, again, making sure it's the correct way. Kind of center it in there. And then place this guy over. Okay. And this tells me that zipper is not straight. Okay, there we go. So, and if you want, you can place this under a book for a little bit, but we're gonna let it dry, okay? Okay, so now that the lining is glued to the exterior and it's dry, we're gonna go ahead and go over to the sewing machine and using probably again like a 4 stitch length at 1/8 inch seam allowance, we're gonna go ahead and top stitch around that box around the zipper. Okay. So again, using about a 4 for the stitch length, we're going to top stitch. And again, I use the glue stick, so it's a little bit maneuverable and forgiving. So you kind of make sure that your zipper is centered in the slot. Okay. And then I usually start over here at the bottom and just sew all the way around with 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay. Needle down, pivot, needle down, pivot, okay. And here, go ahead and pull the pole back to the back. And continue on. One way. There we go. Sometimes with a 4 stitch length, it doesn't match up well. And there you have it. So you can either back stitch once you get here or do the needle. Again, I just usually back stitch. So they're top stitched around the zipper, and you just trim these threads, and then we're gonna put the snap in and top stitch. Okay, so I'll be right back. Grab your snap tab. Okay, and what's gonna do now, put that back up. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna snap this in, okay? And then kind of try and make sure that's straight. That's straight. Turn around and pull this back a little bit, just the lining piece, and fold the snap tab back, okay? And then put the lining back. And we're going to clip that in place. And I'm going to do it from both sides just to make sure when I unclip it, it's really going to stay, okay? So you can see clipped in there. We're going to unclip this straight. Be careful not to move it. And then zip this down about halfway. Okay, so we're about halfway unzipped. Pull, I just stuck my finger in there and pull the fabric and clip that too, okay? Just so there aren't wrinkles in the fabric there, okay? And then we're gonna line up the rest of this, okay? Okay, so now that you have the top lined up, what you're gonna wanna do is unclip one of these and make sure you have all the layers, so front, back, and the snap tab together, okay? And then you're gonna go ahead and clip all the way around all the edges, okay? Make sure you especially line up the corners. And if you're off a little bit, it's okay, because there is a, after we top stitch here, you can trim it down on this side or this side. This side, obviously, with the connector, you won't be able to, but you can trim it down if it's like totally wonky before you edge coat, okay? So now we're gonna just stitch, and I'm gonna use a 2.5 just because on stitch length, just because I want to make sure it's really secure, okay? Okay. So then at about, she says to do 1/8 of an inch seam allowance here on the stitching. I do a little bit more than that just to make sure I really grab the lining fabric, okay? So, and I do back stitch at the start and stop of this part. Go slow over the 4 layers of vinyl. So, you know, that's a lot for some machines. Every machine is different, so it definitely helps to know your machine. Again, when you pivot, leave the needle down and flip it. Oops. Needle down, turn. Last one. And back stitch. Okay, so go ahead and trim these threads. This is what it should look like after you've trimmed those threads, okay? So there's 2 more steps, or I guess optional steps for you at this point, okay? If you have uneven edges, like front to back, one sticks out further than the other after this final stitch here, then you can use a ruler and a rotary cutter to go ahead and cut those edges even, okay? Or maybe you're stitching was straight but too far in and you want to trim it a little bit, you can do that too. The other option after that is to put some edge paint or leather paint on the edge, okay? And I'm going to do that because that's my personal preference. If you don't want to do that, that's fine too. Either way, congrats on your new Pocket Pal. And again, thank you so much for joining us here. We hope you learned something and had fun. Maybe got some motivation to sew. I know I need that every once in a while. And, you know, again, constructive feedback is completely welcome. And other than that, I cannot wait to see all your beautiful Pocket Pals. And join us the rest of the week for our Purse Pals sew along, okay? Thank you. Bye.